Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Lotus Chat Worldwide. We're so glad to see you. I'm Matilda, and who else do we have here?
I'm Jenn. Hi, everyone.
And I'm Jenn. Hello, hello.
Yes, and we are here, and we're glad that you've decided to join us. You know what? This episode, which is number 60, we're going to talk about something that came across our hearts because the world just lost a musical icon, Miss Tina Turner herself. And as we were discussing our topic for tonight, a question arose. What's love got to do with it? So as we pondered this question, it was kind of interesting to see what our responses were. And we just wanted to share them with you. So I'm going to pass the mic on to one of you ladies, whoever would like to go first and talk about what's love got to do with it and what that means to you.
So when Matilda first popped this question just now, the first thing that came into my mind is everything. Everything. It's about love. It's for love and to get love, So everything is about love. And I think that, for me, I want to touch particularly on love within the family. I think in the family particularly, I think having that amount of love is very important. I personally stay with my mother-in-law, so there are days when there's not much love and there are days when there is love. So having that, love in the household is very important. And, when you see your family members every day, sometimes you get irritated with each other. We get annoyed. I'm not going to deny that, we step on each other's toes, and including, my husband and the kids too. They can be cute and they can be annoying. Yeah, in case you're listening, Zillian, yes, it's you. So it's, I think having love, it just eliminates all the frustration, tension, when it dies down at the end of the day. It's love that brought us all together as a family, with the dog too, Bubbles. So yes, I think love's got to do everything about it. I love that song from Tina Turner. Yeah. What do you think, Jenn?
Well, you couldn't have said it any better, Zian. Love is everything. I mean, love is expansive. Love is, I would say it's eternal. I would say it is something that outlasts the physical body. Love is spirit. And there's a quote I read a long time ago that describes love, and it is such a simple quote. It says, love is a verb. And love really is a verb. It's this action or oriented word with a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion attached to it. What do? When we are in love with something, we act on it. Whether it's like a passion, whether it's a person, whether it's a place that we want to go visit, that is what love is. It really is that piece, that emotion that draws us to make those really big decisions, or those decisions that completely change our lives, or it makes us stay close to those that we love. So yeah, love is a verb. And I think once we all understand that it is not just a word that we say, but it is a do. You love is an action word. Matilda, what are your thoughts on that?
That caught my attention. That's really good. Love truly is an action verb. So you gave the qualifier for what Zian gave the example for, love in action. And it really does make a difference with whether you're saying it and your actions are contrary, because that does happen too. I think one of the greatest loves that we have is self-love, because if you don't truly love yourself, you can't love others, or how you love yourself can determine how you love others. So, and that other girl was singing that song, Whitney, the greatest love of all. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. So what's love got to do with it? Everything, like you said, self-love, loving others, especially family and those that can irritate us and get on our nerves the most, when you want to just choke them and scream them and kick the cat and slap the dog and everybody in the house is getting on your nerves. That's when love truly does get to express itself, or if you have a significant other that is,
Mm.
or a coworker. How about at work? When you don't think in terms of loving someone who's a coworker, how do you get to express that by with people that you are working with that are not thought of, oh, I'm supposed to love you? What does that get to look like? Either one, you ever thought about that?
Yeah. Interesting questions. I think, oh, sorry, Jen, you go.
Oh, well, that leads me to another question, Matilda. It leads me to the question of, is love conditional or unconditional? Because in that sense, like, is there something attached to that love where you only give it if something is returned? Or is love really selfless where you give without expecting it in return? So what do you guys think? Because I actually had a discussion with somebody about that.
Well, I think it's really challenging to have that whole, unconditional self-love. And I guess when you are fine and romantic, everything's going well, I slept well, I ate well, and I everything is good. And yeah, I can do that, but then when you're tired and you have meeting after 4 hours and you haven't eaten, you haven't showered, I don't think it's love is any way near that, So I think it really depends. And also, I'm the first person who's going to admit that I'm a selfish human being. So sometimes I give out love when I receive those love in the past. And first person that comes into my mind, my mother, I love her. I love her because I know she loves me. And in the past, my experience of her is she pours out all her love to me too. So, in receiving, I give too. So I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm just giving out, without her returning her love to me. So I don't know. I think it's unfortunately conditional. Yeah. What do you think?
It's both. I think it's both because I think at the heart of it, when you can lay yourself totally aside from circumstances, situations, and whether you receive or not, and you can pour into someone else, that's what unconditional love looks like. But at the same time, unconditional love can have conditions, such as I can love you unconditionally, but with you in this relationship, I may have to set boundaries. Unconditional love doesn't mean that a person can treat you any old kind of way. It just means that you can pour out from your heart without expecting something in return. And at the same time, when something is returned, you may have to qualify what that looks like. It's like this week, my husband and I, or this weekend, my husband and I had a very strong conversation about something. I won't say we were arguing because we don't typically argue, but his voice got a little louder than usual. So I retreated, I shut down for some days. But when we talked about it later, I was like, I love you so much, but your using that tone with me is not allowed. And his response was, I wasn't talking to you, I was talking about it. It wasn't aimed towards you. I just got caught up in what I was expressing, and it may have come out a way that wasn't acceptable to you. And I said, no, it was not acceptable to me. Therefore, in the future, you can express yourself freely, but you won't use that tone of voice with me again. Okay. So we had to realize we love each other so much, because he said, you know what, this should have never happened between us, because we complement each other so well that we didn't have to take that route in that conversation. But now that it's happened, I'm sorry. He did apologize. I never did, because I didn't have anything to apologize for. But anyway, now that we have, straightened that part out, I'm going to do my best to make sure I watch my tone. I say, yeah, you can do that, because I'm older than you, and you got to respect your elders. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, love can be unconditional, but it can have boundaries that present conditions to that relationship. That makes sense?
Yeah, I love it. I'm learning.
Yeah, Matilda, thank you for explaining that and just going through your own personal story.
Mhm.
Basically, it's an example of what you just said. I think something came up for me when you were explaining that story, how we've actually said in other episodes when we mentioned love, like in our episode, everyone, on the Untethered Soul, it's one of the books that we recommended. We talk about love and that spirit of openness and not being blocked, because when you block your energy to love, then you're not able to either give it or receive it. So in that sense, Matilda, you and your husband were being open to a conversation. You're being open to setting those, healthy boundaries and open to communicating what each of you felt, right? And I think
Right.
that's also part of love. I don't think anyone should feel like because I love this person or I'm in relationship with this person that I should take certain things because I love them. I think it's really good the way you described it. I think being open to love and being open to loving someone and receiving it, but also remembering that there is that self-love aspect. You can, like you said, you can't be in a relationship with someone unless you love yourself. And you cannot allow someone to treat you less than what you deserve as a human being. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Jen. And as you talk about that just now, something popped into my mind. I was just thinking that I think there are many times when we experience love in a different love language. And sometimes it's easy to say it and it's easy to read a book about it, but when you experience it, it's an entirely different story. And I think for me, love appears in the form of time, but then sometimes I don't receive that. And I get really frustrated when I don't receive that. And love appears in different forms that I do not recognize. But then when I'm frustrated and then when I calm down, I go, he did love me in different form, in his own ways. So I guess I just wanted to point that out because, perhaps sometimes, whoever is listening out there, you might be experiencing like this form of frustration in love. And bear in mind that that intended person that you want that love back is giving you their own meaning and ways of love that they could.
That is so true. And I'm going to say this part to that I've had a conversation, one of those clearing conversations with my dear spouse, that his love language is acts of service. He's always trying to do things. The only thing is that the stuff that he does is what he determines needs to be done, whether I want it or not, but because he's doing it from his heart, he feels like I'm supposed to get as excited about receiving it as he did with giving it. And so we have to navigate through that. So I recognize that I have to pause and recognize that, hey, he's doing something meaningful and it's an act of service, and I get to embrace that. That's also a part of loving unconditionally. When the person might not necessarily be speaking your language, but they're speaking their own, and you get to acknowledge that, hey, this is how they show it, and I'm willing to receive that. Because if we get stuck in, well, my love language is this, and this is what I need, this is what I need, sometimes we'll lose sight of that person's love language and how we get to receive it from them. So that slips into that unconditional love again, where you get to acknowledge, I don't care that you did that. Oh, but you did it because you love me. Thank you. That kind of unconditional love. What you think? Does it make sense?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Definitely makes sense, Matilda. And I love, yet again, we're really hitting on that communication aspect related to love. And the idea that there are two individuals, we're similar in some ways, we are different, and yet we find ways to come together in the end. And that's what makes a relationship work. You work you mesh, you meld, but you also remember to keep your individual personalities in the relationship too. And your individual passions and, projects and things that you're passionate about, but you find a way to come together. And that could be for anything, love, friendship, even with family members, everything is a relationship. So if we take it that way, then we really work with love. And that ultimately is what we're here for, right? To love and be loved and to love ourselves.
Like you said, love is everything. It really is. Good job, baby. So where do we go from here? I think this is a subject at some point we'll be able to discuss it again. What do you think, Zen?
Yeah, great. Yeah. And if Jenn, are you happy to close?
Yeah, no, of course. I wanted to know if there are any last thoughts or anything. And I'm so glad that everyone is, here with us again for yet another episode. We're at episode 60. I can't believe it. And we are going to continue to be here for you guys, as much as we can to provide a little insight, a little, feedback, a little bit of our own lives within all these different topics we discuss. And we welcome you back via YouTube and Spotify, which are the two places you can find us via Spotify podcasts or our YouTube channel. And please also, if you'd like to send us a note and give us ideas about anything you want us to talk about, we are open at lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. So definitely, send us a little chat or note and or reach out to us at any of our IG handles that you see there on the screen. We'd love to hear from you and get to know all of you. And please tell your friends and family about us. Please like, share, and subscribe and hit that notification button so you know when we're going to be sending a new episode out. And I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you all for being a part of our Lotus Chat community, and we will see you next time.
And we love
Bye.
you. Bye.